This is the TNA Rebellion April 27, 2025 full show results video which takes place at Galen Center in Los Angeles, California. The show started with a match between Fatal Influence vs Zaya Brookside, Laying Lee, and Rosemary. We see JC Jane nails Rosemary with a knee before entering the ring. Jane then gets a flurry of offense and helps Fatal Influence get the advantage. Nix then tags in and picks up where Jane left off, taking it to Rosemary. We then see Rosemary, Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside hit back-to-back dives on Fatal Influence at ringside. Jane and Brookside then hit simultaneous pump kicks. Rosemary then tries sliding some brass knuckles to Brookside, but Brookside refuses to use them. JC Jane then blasts Zaya Brookside from behind to win the match by pinfall. The System are shown talking about their various matches tonight, and Alicia Edwards asks if we want to know something. Moose then vows to win the Ultimate X match and help out the System with the rest of their matches. Cody Deaner then shows up and says he needs to prove something. Deaner asks to take JDC's spot in the match against the Rascals and Ace Austin, but the System call him a loser and walk away. Elijah then makes his way out for the next match of the pre-show and stands on the stage to play his guitar, while singing a song that plays to the Los Angeles fans. Elijah then ends up at ringside and asks who wanted to walk with him. The TMDK logo then appears on the big screen and Shane Haste makes his way down to the ring to accept the open challenge. Then we saw a match between Elijah versus Shane Haste, and the result of this match was Elijah defeated Shane Haste by pinfall with the Highwayman's Farewell Piledriver. Frankie Kazarian cuts a backstage promo and says while Joe Hendry is concerned with clicks, he is worried about wins. Kazarian then says it bothers him that Hendry is using TNA as a stepping stone and then says he will become the TNA World Champion. Then we saw Ultimate X match for the TNA X Division Championship, which happened between Moose vs Leon Slater vs Matt Cardona vs Elito del Vikingo vs Kaze Navarro vs Sidney Hakim. The match starts off with all 6 men wasting no time and going after each other, and all 6 men then start trading shots all over the place. More men then start filling up the ring, and we see El Hijo del Vikingo hit a big dive from the ropes to the floor. Sidney Hakim then hits a moonsault off the ropes on then competitors at ringside. Moose then hits a powerbomb on Hakim from the ring to all the men on the floor. Alicia then gets all the way up and is hanging from her legs and hands, crawling to the center of the X. Alicia then loses her footing and her legs fall and then kicks her legs and falls, but Moose catches her. Leon Slater then climbs the 15-foot podium holding the wires in the corner. Slater then hits a leaping 450 senton onto all the men at ringside. Slater then gets up the wires again and climbs to the middle and then unhooks the title, but it is not over until he drops down. Slater then goes to drop down, but upon landing he gets speared by Moose. Moose then steps over him, picks up the title and is declared the winner, and retains the X Division title. The next match happened between Ash and Heather by Elegance vs Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson vs Spitfire vs Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. The match starts off with Ash by Elegance and Tatum Paxley, but Ash tags Heather in before anything happens. Luna comes in and she and Paxley finally start mixing it up, and then we see back-to-back ring-to-floor high spots. Dolan then hits a whisper in the wind and Legend stops Heather's attempted dive. Legend then picks Heather up and hits a military press slam on her onto the pile of women. Legend then puts Jackson on her shoulders and Jackson dives onto the pile of women at ringside. Jackson then tags in and Dolan hits a tilt-a-whirl on Jackson into a roll-up for a 2 count. Each team then has one member hit a finisher on another competitor in sequential fashion. This then leads to 2 big stack suplex spots on each side of the ring. In the end, Maggie Lee then makes her way out and holds onto Ash on one side, and this leads to Ash hitting her rarefied air finisher to win the match by pinfall, and retains the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. The next match happened between the Rascals and Ace Austin versus the System. The match starts off with Wenz and Myers, and Wenz tries to pose to the crowd. Wenz then fights back and lays out Myers, then tags in Miguel for a double team spot. Alicia then keeps getting involved at ringside, which leads to Sean Waltman informing the referee. Waltman then confronts Alicia, and Alicia goes to smack Waltman, but Waltman hits Alicia with an X Factor. Waltman and the Rascals then do the suck it hand gesture together, and the Rascals and Austin hit Bronco Busters in 3 corners at the same time with him. Moose then goes for a spear, but gets hit with an X Factor from Wentz. In the end, Wentz and Miguel then follow it up with the UFO cutter for the victory by pinfall. The next match happened between Steve Macklin vs Eric Young for the TNA International Championship. The match starts off with Young taking the initial offensive lead, but it doesn't last long as Macklin fights back and hits a diving air raid style high spot from the ring to the floor on Young and the Northern Armory. The referee then ejects Icarus and Williams for interfering. Macklin then has Young in the Tree of Woe position and charges at him, but Young sits up and Macklin tumbles to the floor. In the end, Steve Macklin defeated Eric Young by pinfall with the rolls up and retained the TNA International Championship. After the match, Macklin is attacked by the Northern Armory. Icarus and Williams then help Young hang Macklin over the ropes with a giant steel chain. Then we saw a Falls Count Anywhere match between Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali. We see Mustafa Ali goes for a suicide dive, but Santana sidesteps him and Ali crashes into the ring steps, which has been set up sideways. Santana then continues to beat Ali down as they fight through the crowd. Santana climbs up one level and leaps off the barricade with a moonsault for a 2 count. As Santana and Ali continue to fight through the crowd, the Great Hands get involved. The Great Hands double-team Santana, leading to Ali hitting a balcony dive onto all of them. Ali then hits a top rope coast-to-coast on Santana, but bounces off the apron to the floor. Ali then hits a 450 splash on Santana off the top rope to put Santana through a table at ringside, then goes for the cover, but Santana kicks out. Tasha Steelz heads under the ring and pulls out another table and sets it up. Ali then picks up Santana, who sends him into the ring post. Steelz then slaps Santana, then Santana points at her. Steelz then goes for another slap, but Santana catches it and lifts her up for a leaping powerbomb off the ring apron through the table. The Great Hands are then shown cuffed to the steps. Santana then stops Ali and climbs up the steps. From up top there, Santana hits a superplex on Ali through the table, then goes for a cover, but Ali clicks out. In the end, Mike Santana defeated Mustafa Ali by pinfall after hitting the spin the block finisher. Gia Miller then interviews former WWE and WWE NXT star Indi Hartwell in the front row. Hartwell confirms that she has joined the TNA Knockouts division. It is then confirmed by Hannafan and Rhea Wolf that we will hear from Indi Hartwell on this coming Thursday's special live episode of TNA Impact on AXS TV. The next match happened between Masha Slamovich versus Tessa Blanchard for the Knockouts Championship. We see Slamovich hits a back fist on Blanchard and follows it up with a German suplex for a 2 count. Slamovich then pounds on her own knee to try and get the feeling back, then she sets up for Requiem. Blanchard then avoids it and counters, and then Blanchard hits a dragon screw on Slamovich. Blanchard then hits a huge high spot off the top rope on Slamovich, but Slamovich rolls through and pops up to her feet for a big knee. In the end, Masha Slamovich defeated Tessa Blanchard by submission with a modified armbar to retain the Knockouts Championship. The next match happened between Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy versus Nick Nameoth and Ryan Nameoth for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. We see Matt Hardy isolated in the ring for a while and is on the defensive the entire time. Matt then finally makes the tag to Jeff, who helps shift the offensive momentum in the favor of the Hardys. Matt Hardy then ends up getting slammed on an unfolded steel chair set up on the floor, and then Nick Nameoth hits the Danger Zone on Jeff to win the match by pinfall and become the new TNA World Tag Team Champions. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian versus Ethan Paige for the TNA World Championship. We see Hendry holds up Kazarian for a powerbomb. Kazarian then hits Paige, who is seated on the top rope, and then suplexes Paige while Hendry is powerbombing him. Kazarian then hits Hendry with a guillotine leg drop and drops to the floor. Kazarian then charges at Paige, who sends him onto the timekeepers. Paige then sets up a table on the floor and sets up Hendry for the Ego's Edge, but Kazarian breaks it up. Kazarian then goes for Fade to Black on Hendry from the ring apron through the table. In the end, Hendry hits standing ovation to Ethan Paige and won the match by pinfall and retained the TNA World Championship. After the match, Hendry gets hits with a pump kick from WWE NXT star Trick Williams. Williams then waits for Hendry to get up and hits his trick shot finisher on him to leave him laying. Williams then stands tall and the show comes to a close. How much you would rate TNA Rebellion show? Tell me in the comments. Do not forget to subscribe the channel for more updates, and thanks for watching.